Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Now, let's start the show. Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley, Emmanuel Acho in the
It's going to be a long day for me. So.
It's going to be a long day? Only 2 hours, so it won't be that long. It just feels long. But right now, we're celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today, especially us right here as we stand with this platform. So let's get it started with our platform in the NFC, where the Bucs lost twice to the Saints in the regular season, but they got their revenge last night. Oh, yes, they did. Tom Brady had 3 touchdowns, and the Bucs defense was all over the Saints, forcing 4 turnovers, including 3 interceptions by Drew Brees. Brady is on his way to his 14th championship game and first in the NFC. So, Acho, were you impressed with the Bucs or disappointed in the Aints? I had to say it.
I was severely disappointed in these Saints.
The long day starts now. Let's go.
Time.
Bro.
The Saints played Drew Brees.
Oh, here we go.
Played a historically terrible performance. Marcellus, I would have been impressed with the Buccaneers if the Buccaneers would have beat the Saints had the Saints stayed in character. Marcellus Wiley, 3 interceptions by Drew Brees.
Yeah, I heard.
3?
I saw him, too.
He ain't thrown 3 picks all season.
Oh, he did yesterday. That was part of the season.
55% completion percentage
Drew down.
for the most accurate quarterback in NFL history. Drew Brees. Before the game, it's reported that this might be your last time in the Superdome. I'm thinking you're going to play this game in heroic fashion. Drew Brees, what was that? So I don't know what that was. And then the Saints defense. For so long, I've been standing ovation to the Saints defense. I'm not entirely mad at the Saints defense, but whenever there's a turnover, it's the job of the defense to try to put the fire out, mitigate the damages. Somebody got to mitigate the damages, please. And off every single turnover, the Buccaneers scored a touchdown. Turnover, touchdown, turnover, touchdown, turnover, touchdown, turnover, game over.
Yeah.
Self,
don't
how could you not be disappointed in the Saints? I'm not going to be impressed by Tom Brady. He ain't do nothing. 2 touchdown passes. I'm not going to be impressed by Mike Evans. He ain't do nothing.
3 total touchdowns.
Mike Evans had a catch. Mike Evans didn't have a catch. Maybe he had 1 catch. Gronk had 1 catch. Scotty Miller 1 catch. Antonio Brown 1 catch. It's not impressive. What's disappointing is Drew
You have a take?
Brees. Yeah, my take is I'm disappointed in the Saints.
Should I save you from yourself right now? I don't know where to start. You know, I've been winning so much I can't slow down for you losers like the Saints and you losers like Acho, who I've been telling since day one. Brother, you got to understand why Tom Brady is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer for moments like this. Before I even get into the X's and O's, as I like to say, I want to get into the I's and the U's. So let's talk about the people before we talk about the players and how they perform. You want to know why Drew Brees went out there and struggled. You want to say, what? What did he do? What happened? You've never done this all season long. You're Drew Brees. Oh, the pressure of Tom Brady being on the other side, as I predicted, would have an effect on this team. You went out there and others saying, since they beat him the first 2 times, just show up, show them the jerseys, and it's just going to be a wrap. And I told you, Tom Brady was built for moments just like this. The reason Drew Brees struggled in part, and I don't know to what degree, is because of the pressure of the presence of Tom Brady on the other side. Now, that was the effect on the Saints. How about the impact it had on the Buccaneers as Tom Brady is now their general, now their leader? One word comes to mind: turnovers. You said Tom Brady didn't do anything? He had 3 total touchdowns. You said Tom Brady didn't do anything? You're right. He didn't commit any turnovers. You want to know what kept this same Tampa Bay Bucs team last year from getting over the hump? Turnovers. Jameis Winston and his 30 interceptions and his 5 lost fumbles was the reason this team was 7-9 last year. And they collectively said, all we need to do is address this quarterback position. Not necessarily get more prolific at the position, because Jameis Winston led the league in passing yards. What we need to do is have someone take care of the baby. Because once you take care of the baby, a few things happens. One, the defense feels energized and confident. You know this. Why? Because we know we could trust our offense. Two, the other team is sitting there like, we can't make mistakes, because if we make mistakes, they're going to be opportunistic and take advantage of all of our mistakes. What you saw yesterday was the New England Patriot way, Tom Brady way. You don't even understand how it happened. There are immeasurables at play. There are intangibles at play. But it collectively adds up to a game that Acho's like, how did this occur? But if you look at the scoreboard, you know what happened. You realize that this team took advantage of the Saints' arrogance and miscues. All of that was a combination of gumbo that the Saints couldn't eat, but the Brady Bucks were over there feasting on.
So now the Saints got personality flaws. That's what I heard.
Well,
now the Saints got arrogance and personality.
Oh, I told you they were going to be arrogant.
So
I told you they were going to be cocky.
The Saints' loss has way more to do with Drew Brees than it does Tom Brady.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that.
But let's just look at the numbers. Let's look at Drew Brees versus the Bucs in the regular season and Drew Brees versus the Bucs just yesterday. Because in the regular season, Drew Brees, 71% completion percentage. He was Gucci. Gucci was good. Gucci. And 56%. Drew Brees in the regular season, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions against those same Buccaneers. Drew Brees yesterday, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Drew Brees passer rating, 119 in the regular season. Yesterday, 38. Worst game since 2006. 3 picks. Second lowest in the Saints uniform since 2012. Marcellus, these were astronomically bad performances. You couldn't have predicted that. I'm happy for you.
Hold on.
I'm happy for you.
Hold on. Which one is right? I've been predicting this all season long, even when they lost the first 2 matchups. Now you say I couldn't predict it?
Because Marcellus,
don't do that.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and
now we're going to go to joke books.
And you, sir, could not have anticipated. You could have anticipated Tom Brady's performance.
You going to tell me what I was thinking when I actually said this?
But what did you say? You said that Tom Brady was going to ball. You didn't say Drew Brees was going to be pathetic. Pathetic.
I don't want to do this to you, Acho. I like your clothes. I don't want to undress you in front of the world. But, however, this question is impressed with Bucks or disappointed Saints? I notice you're trying to narrow this to one player versus one player because you don't have a conversation.
That's what it was.
No, it wasn't. Okay, if it was, let me beat you at your own game and then beat you at the game that we're supposed to be playing. Your own game is, Drew Brees changed. So did Tom Brady. Tom Brady in the first 2 outings, 3 total touchdowns, and 5 total turnovers. What about yesterday? 3 total touchdowns and 0 turnovers. Wherever you want to go, there you are, Acho. I will find you and destroy you in this conversation. Take your L's and pass the mic.
Here's why I can't do that.
Okay.
Here's why I cannot do that. I can't do that because even if Tom Brady plays as well as he played yesterday, let's make no mistake about the fact that 21 points came off of Drew Brees' turnovers. 21 points. A 3-yard touchdown drive off a turnover, a 20-yard touchdown drive, and a 40-yard touchdown drive. That did not come because Tom Brady's Buccaneers were marching down the field off of kickoffs. Tom Brady's Buccaneers were marching down the field off of punts. No. Tom Brady's Bucs were given a short field, 3-yard touchdown drive, short field, 20-yard touchdown drive, short field, 40-yard touchdown drive. I apologize, Marcellus, if I didn't think that Drew Brees was going to play his worst game since 2012. I mean, I could have come out here and just taken a wild guess, a simple gander. Oh, yeah, Drew Brees will have a historically bad performance in this last performance in the Superdome, allegedly. Can't nobody guess that. The Bucs played well. The Saints were severely disappointed.
Dog, you are a gifted wordsmith. I've never seen you stumble and bumble and stutter your way through takes like this ever. You want to know something about this team? Tom Brady, after week 9 in the loss. Tom Brady, after their bye week. I told you what happened. Do we have to rewind the film? They had a meeting. In that meeting, they said, we have to play complementary football. It can't be anymore just be prolific on offense. Risk it for the biscuit. It's not going to work. Tom Brady, take care of the baby. It will work. It will look boring. It won't seem like that you can pick and say where the wins are coming from, but you're going to look up at the scoreboard and you'll see a W. Let's talk about the Saints defense, the great Saints defense. You and Greg Jennings beating my head on how great the Saints defense was. I kept telling you. The Bucs defense in major statistical categories was just as good. Sacks, takeaways, and also the fact that if you look at them yesterday, that great Saints defense, how did they look? not as well as the Bucks defense. You know why? You know why?
Please.
You know why?
Why?
Because you didn't respect the improvement, the maturation process. Listen to this. Tell me when I'm wrong. Yesterday, we saw the Bucks convert 47% on third down. In the other two games, 27%. Oh, a little better on that defense. How about the Bucks defense gave up 36 points per game in the two outings? Yesterday, only 20 points. You got to respect that. You got to respect that everything changes. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. I told you the Saints were getting worse while the Bucks were getting better. And it was going to be a meeting of heads. They were going to meet at that crossroads and that the Bucks would prevail. Nothing's wrong.
The only thing you should have said in this block, because the only thing that would make sense to be impressed with the Buccaneers is the Buccaneers defense. That's the only thing. I don't want to hear about Tom Brady. I don't want to hear about Mike
somebody
Evans.
not having turnovers versus the other quarterback had 3?
That's not the impressive aspect.
How? You just said that's how they took advantage of him.
Because, Sal, the difference in this game was exclusively the defense. But I can't even be mad at the Saints defense. Why can't I be mad at the Saints defense? Saints defense actually did better on third down than the Bucks defense did. Saints defense actually...
There are other downs other than third, but go ahead.
Saints defense actually had allowed less yards per play than the Bucks. Less rushing yards per attempt than the Saints defense outplayed the Bucks. But what the problem was Drew Brees. Outside of those turnovers, the Saints defense severely outplayed the Bucks. So it's not a matter of, well, you know what? The Buccaneers defense really stood tall and outperformed the Saints defense. No, the Buccaneers defense outperformed Drew Brees. That's where it starts. That's where it stops.
Okay, so I just love how we're going to just say, well, it was Drew Brees' fault. Drew Brees' fault. But then it's the same Drew Brees that gets him to this position every single year, but now it's all on Drew Brees. When I also told you Drew Brees in the playoffs, especially of late, has been a little bit of a struggle versus his career numbers. You wanted to balk at that. Everything I try to predict, and it was educated guesses. It wasn't just a guess. It wasn't like you with social media takes. Oh, it was all about the defense. No, I look at it in totality, Acho. It's simple as this. It's almost poetic. It's almost ironic. This team fell short because of turnovers the entire year last year. And part of this year, the turnovers came back to bite them. And finally, they said, let's just fix that problem. And you keep acting like, well, Tom Brady didn't play a great game. I won't say that's a great game for Tom Brady, but it was a complimentary football game that helped everybody do what they needed to do, especially the defense. You want to see what happened with Kamara and everybody on the Saints had less of a game than they did in the other two outings. What was Michael Thomas? Anybody? Hello? Michael Thomas. Complimentary football. But you want to focus in on Tom Brady like if he didn't have a great game, then it was a bad game. How about this? Think about this. Green Bay needs to think about this. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown combined for 6 catches and 47 yards. Acho, since he wants to win a social media take, is going to sit there and say, see, Tom Brady didn't play well. Me, who sees the entire picture and perspective, will say this. Ooh, be careful. Because if they didn't play well and they beat the Saints by 10, what's going to happen when all of that clicks? If you're going to roll the dice and think those 3 guys are going to combine for 47 yards going forward, you're going to crap out.
We said this before.
Come on,
We said this before. It's not only are you going to win a game, is the other team going to lose a game. We came on this same show a week ago.
The same show.
Talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes.
What do you mean the same show?
Talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you said, and I agreed. And I agreed that the Steelers lost that game just as much as the Browns won it. First play, fumbled snap, Ben Roethlisberger 4 turnovers. We had that discussion. We had that peaceful, civil conversation. All I'm saying is this.
No peace, brother.
Marcellus.
All war.
The Saints haven't had 4 turnovers all season.
And then,
the most they've ever had in a game is 2 this season. They had 4 of them. So did Tom Brady play a solid game? Sure. But really, Devin White, can we give him the credit? Can we give Antoine Winfield Jr. the credit? I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm impressed with the Bucks. I'm really impressed with the Todd Bowles. If I'm impressed with anybody, I'm impressed with the defensive coordinator. But beyond that, what's the outlier? The outlier is the Saints' pathetic and poor performance. The outlier is the fact that...
Help me, America. Who do all those people play for? Who do all those people work for? The Buccaneers. So if you don't want to give the Buccaneers credit, you want to give all the individual pieces credit. Go ahead.
So you're not disappointed in the Saints at all. You're not disappointed in Drew Brees. Hold on.
Yeah, I played with Drew Brees.
That was not a disappointing performance.
Yeah, you know why? Because somebody made him have a disappointing performance. Every time we walk on the football field, before we have contact, it's nothing but air and opportunity. And then somebody starts taking the opportunities away, and somebody starts taking the air away from you. And that's what happened. He went out there and was like, oh, I got money against these guys because I'm good against them. I got it. I'm Drew Brees. Yeah, and I still believe in Drew Brees. But I knew that in the playoffs, Tom Brady is a whole different animal. If you get into the finals, let's go to our sport. You get into the finals and get dusted. I mean, dusted and disgusted, shout out E40, by Usain Bolt. Don't you come back the next day and say, dog, I ain't never lost like that. You know what happened? You went against the best when it mattered most. Drew Brees is amazing. I told you the article said Drew Brees is amazing, astounding. And then there's Tom Brady. It came true, brother. I'm sorry, Acho. You don't want to take this take. You're the little brother to Sam Acho. Now you're the little brother to Marcel Swati. It's a sad life, sad reality for you. But the reality is, I tried to tell him. Now look at him. Can't even hear me. Coming up at the top of the hour, that's just one of his losses that are coming. Aaron Rodgers looked like the MVP Saturday, but we'll tell you which of the 4 winning teams was most impressive. But first, Andy Reid had a few tricks up his sleeve Sunday. We'll give you our biggest takeaway from the Chiefs win next. Speak for yourself. That was me being nice because I love you, Acho. But
what's up, Speak for Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before 2 something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I welcome in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. In honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, our own Kurt Menefee and Michael Strahan host an hour-long special that illuminates the efforts of athletes creating change in their communities.
Voices features appearances by Hall of Famer and current Jackson State head coach Deion Sanders, as well as NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace, who sat down for a conversation with Shannon Sharpe. Fox Sports Voices today at 5 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Well, let's move on to the Chiefs. KC was up 19-10 behind 2 touchdowns from Patrick Mahomes, but their star quarterback had to leave in the third quarter with a concussion. Chad Henne replaced him, and late in the game, he had a big run on 3rd down and a pass on 4th down to seal the win. KC is now on their 3rd straight AFC Championship game. So, Marcellus, what was your biggest takeaway from the Chiefs' win over the Browns?
Wow, there were so many things that were just in competition. It was the biggest takeaway, but then I came to this conclusion. Andy Reid believes in his team, and that includes his backup quarterback, Chad Henne. Now, I've been on teams before where coach says, yeah, I believe in us. And he's only talking to 22 of us. He's not talking to everybody. He's like, I believe if we go out there and play these scripted plays, play our game, and you 22 don't get hurt, we're good. Andy Reid showed me a different wrinkle. He showed me a different level of belief and faith. He believed in his entire team and then his backup quarterback. The other thing that was in competition for that, the silver medal of this belief system, was he also believed that the Cleveland Browns couldn't hurt him even if he didn't convert that 4th and 1. He didn't believe in Baker Mayfield and that offense. Being real, 4th and 1 in your own territory around a minute to go, you said, let's go. Let's go. Let's roll these dice. Because we know if you punt the ball, give it back to Cleveland, just our fears take over. Our anxiety takes over and say, they're probably going to score. But Andy Reid was like, I don't care. I would give them the ball closer to the end zone if we don't convert this 4th and 1 because I believe in my team. I believe in my backup quarterback. That's a belief system. In my 10 years of NFL experience, I didn't really witness coming from the top down. You see it after the fact. You see it when it's result-based. Oh, the backup went out there and balled out? Yeah. But before the moment, to have that belief in the collective, oh, Andy Reid is special.
Your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're telling me. I believe and learned from this game the same thing you did. As far as Andy Reid doesn't get enough credit. His actions speak so loud, it doesn't matter what he tells us. Let's put this in context. Let's play the game real quick. Sel played DN, I played linebacker. 4th and 1. You know they about to hard count. Like, if I'm a defensive player, it's 4th and 1 with a backup quarterback who just threw one of the worst interceptions in recent playoff memory. They get the ball back. All of a sudden, they've passed the ball 5 out of their next 7 plays. They get the ball back with 3 minutes and change. Surely they're just going to run the clock out, you would think. But Andy Reid says, nah, we don't pass. And not only do they pass, he takes a bad sack, Chad Henne does, after throwing a bad interception. Now it's 3rd and 14. Surely, Andy Reid, you're just going to run the ball. Surely you are. But 3rd and 14, you call another pass play. Chad Henne scrambles. He gets it down to 4th and 1. As a defender, as a linebacker in that situation, I'm like, it's going to be a hard count. They're going to punt the ball back to us because it's ludicrous. It's ridiculous to throw the ball on 4th and 1 with a backup quarterback. And Andy Reid says, why wouldn't I throw it? So that's the first thing I learned about from that game. That was my biggest takeaway. My second biggest takeaway, though, the Browns are for real and the Browns are here to stay. That's my real.
Stay really, where?
Stay in the AFC conversation as far as really being able to compete with some different teams.
Cancun? Because that's where they are right now. Cancun to Cabo.
Bro, when I think about it like this,
stay where?
The Browns were down 19-3. You come out of halftime, you're still down 19-3. Baker Mayfield, you throw a bad interception. Really, it should be game over. It's blouses.
Why? Chad Henne threw an interception too to make it even.
It's 19-3. You're playing against the Chiefs.
No.
It should be in my mind as a person who thought maybe the Browns have a chance. After Baker throws that pick, I'm like, the Chiefs, they about to go down there and score. Surely, and it's done. But wait a second. The Browns battled back, rallied off a 14-3 run. I said, uh-oh. The Browns made this a conversation and a competition. I also learned from that game, Sal.
You bad math right there.
That the Browns had to stay.
No, bad math, because you act like that they scored 14-3 on Chad Henne. No. They only outscored them 7-3 in 22 minutes of Chad Henne ball. See how you do it? You're trying to lie to the folks out there.
I said it was a 14-3 run.
Okay. All I'm saying, if you want to have that conversation now, because it seemed like a team that's going against a backup, if you're going to outscore the backup 7-3, you got some issues.
I'm not going to argue with you right
not
now,
yet.
I'm bringing in Greg Jennings, NFL analyst. So, Greg, what was your biggest takeaway from the Chiefs' win over the Browns?
My biggest takeaway was the health of the MVP of that team, meaning Patrick Mahomes. Right. And when I watched that game, I understood how important, in both of your points of Andy Reid, how special he is, but what makes him even that much greater a coach is when you have the flexibility to call anything that you have looking in front of you on your play sheet because of the guy under center. And with when you look at the landscape of all 4 teams remaining, their most valuable players are healthy. And I want people to understand this. Like, everyone kind of talks about Tom Brady and his age and Aaron Rodgers and the NFC and these quarterbacks and their age. But what comes with age comes a level of maturity, a level of understanding, a level of wisdom and savvy. And so Tom Brady understands I'm the most valuable piece to my team. So when I'm about to take a sack, I'm just going to get down. I'm going to yield myself to defeat in this moment, because if I go out, our chances drastically decrease. Aaron Rodgers understands that. Russell Wilson understands that. And I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes doesn't. But when you put a quarterback who has the ability to run the ball and throw the ball the way that Patrick Mahomes does, there's a level of trust that Andy Reid is now saying, okay, I trust you to be smart even in this situation. And so my most important takeaway, it's how healthy will my MVP of my team be moving forward?
Interesting. I have to admit, because up here having this platform, dog, we take shots at people sometimes just because we see the evidence, we see the numbers, and we say things. And we know a lot of these people personally, and then sometimes they accept what we're saying because it's objective, and sometimes they get in their feelings. And I just want to talk about myself, show you my wounds, because I think that will give balance to what I say sometimes. I was a victim of Andy Reid's success when he was in Philadelphia. 2002 through 2004 especially. Oh, my God. Did y'all remember the Philadelphia Eagles? And it's interesting, this nugget about this team that we're witnessing right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, and those Philadelphia Eagles are the only 2 teams to ever host the conference championship 3 years in a row. Andy Reid did it once, and Andy Reid said, let me beat my own record and match it and do it again right now. And those days, you used to look at Andy Reid because he was still like climbing up the mountain of greatness, and you didn't know what to expect, but you knew that you were going to get an offense that was hard to predict. And once again, we find Andy Reid as the common denominator in an offense that is hard to predict. This is a video game offense, guys. In the first half alone, they ran 37 total plays, and they had 17 first downs. Now, a lot of you guys out there don't know where to put that in perspective. I play defense. If we ever walked in at halftime and coach was like, they ran 37 plays and had 17 first downs, I don't know who would go out that locker room the second half because it wouldn't be us. That is amazing. But you know why Andy Reid once again has replicated that success? Because he has built a winning culture. You want to know why I know he's built another winning culture? Not just a Super Bowl success. Because a backup walked in there like he was Patrick Mahomes. And more importantly, all of his teammates believed in him like he was Patrick Mahomes. More importantly, Andy Reid believed in him so much that he even went for it on 4th and 1 in his own territory to ice away the game. Man, this is a whole different animal we're dealing with. And like Greg said, if they can have a healthy Patrick Mahomes, the video game will be on once again.
You know what's interesting, and I've now realized as you're talking, so it's not mutually exclusive, that the Chiefs are a lot better than everybody else, and the Browns are a really competitive team in the AFC and will be going forward. The Chiefs are a lot better than everybody else because with the backup quarterback, you still managed to seal a game when really the odds were stacked up against you at that point in time. The Browns play their best in the fourth quarter as far as running the ball. The Browns were surging there late for the last quarter and a half, and your backup quarterback had made some pivotal errors, takes a bad sack, throws a terrible interception. And yet you still win the game. But I say it's not mutually exclusive because on the flip side, the Browns, nothing went right for them as far as their typical formula. They typically stop the run. They didn't. They typically can run the ball better than their opponent. That didn't happen. And they're typically turnover sound. They win the turnover battle. That still didn't happen. But they only lost by 5 points. Everybody says, yeah, Acho, but it was against the backup quarterback.
Yeah, that's it.
Patrick Mahomes didn't trip and fall and get a concussion. No, them Browns linebackers were smacking. You don't ever wish ill will on anybody, specifically not a star player in the NFL. But when you're playing against Patrick Mahomes as a defender, if you can take a shot, if an illegal shot at that, because he was running the ball, you make sure you try to inflict as much pain as possible in that instance. And the Browns linebackers, Mack Wilson, they was out there hitting. That's why Patrick Mahomes missed time. He didn't just happen to get a concussion by oxygen. No, he got a concussion because them Browns defensive players were out there running to the ball and were out there hitting. So I think both things are true. The Chiefs are significantly and far and away better than everybody else, and the Browns are legit and here to stay.
Okay, so two takeaways from what you both are saying. And Marcellus, you're 100% right when it comes to Andy Reid. And I just want to say this. When it comes to Andy Reid, I understand that he believes in his team and those guys that dress and are ready to play at all times. But what I saw out of Andy Reid on that 4th down play is a coach that said, I'm going to put the team on my back and I'm going to win this game because of how special I am as a play caller. And my level of excellence and my level of knowledge of knowing defenders aren't going to be expecting this in a shotgun when we split out wide and they're going to be thinking, oh, this is a hard count situation. And he put the trust not only in his players, but in himself to win that game with a play call that we don't see that. Those are when we talk about coaches winning games, we talk about Bill Belichick and how he schemes and how he takes away so many different players that he's playing in the opposition. And then, Acho, to your point, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, let's give some credit to Baker Mayfield and Stefanski. What they did together. When you have success, it's a matter of partnerships and relationships and how well they are able to work and coexist together. We saw Baker Mayfield take a step almost every week after their bye, just getting better every single week, being steady. And it has a lot to do with the trust and the rapport that he has built with his head coach, because in that game, he played with a level of belief in himself that supersedes confidence. And when you can start to play with the belief versus being confident, you don't have to concern yourself with being confident because you believe that I'm going to deliver. And that's what the Browns are having in Baker Mayfield moving forward.
You're talking to You're talking to a man who's been in church a couple of times. Maybe not as much as you, Acho, because my daddy wasn't a deacon. But I certainly know that belief, as you say, faith without action is death. I didn't see a lot of actions in that game from Baker Mayfield to give me the same confidence. We'll touch that later. But remember, he was going against the 16th ranked defense, and at halftime, the score was 19-3, y'all. Just letting you know. And the Kansas City Chiefs, that video game offense, scored on all 5 of their first 5 possessions. That said, if you look at that replay of the injury to Patrick Mahomes, which is the only thing that seems like is going to stop this team right now in this moment, there will be a rule change because we know that horse collar tackles from the back all of a sudden got outlawed. This one was from the front. I don't know what we're going to call it, what animal, what collar, but we're going to change it because Patrick Mahomes, the way they treated his neck, legal right now, but going forward, things have to change because that is not allowed, especially when you're talking about faces of the NFL. Coming up, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are out of the playoffs. We'll tell you if they need a makeover in Baltimore. Next, Speak for Yourself. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny because these days we can all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Lamar Jackson had his 39-game streak with a touchdown snapped, and he threw a 101-yard pick six in Saturday's loss to the Bills. This was before he had to lead the game at the end of the third quarter with a concussion. The Ravens finished the season first in rushing and last in passing. What? Prompting wide receiver Marquise Brown to say Baltimore is, quote, not balanced. You think? So, Acho, do the Ravens need a makeover?
Absolutely, big dog. And
yes,
they don't need one of those like HGTV, like complete and utter, let's just gut the house from inside out type of makeovers. But they definitely need to go inside and fix some things up.
All right.
Good is the enemy of great. Let's make no mistake about this.
I'm listening.
Good is the enemy of great. The Ravens' playing style will get them close, but I'm not convinced that they will ever be able to win it all as they're playing. There's a couple things they need. Number one, they need a number one receiver. Let's talk about the 4 teams that are still left. You got the Packers, they got Devontae Adams. You got the Bucks, they got Mike Evans. You got the Bills, they got Stephon Diggs. All these teams have number one receivers. And the Chiefs, heck, they got about 2 number one receivers. That's why I didn't want to name them.
Hello.
But when you talk about the Ravens, they don't have a number one. They drafted Marquise Brown hoping that he would be the number one. He's a speed threat 2 years ago, but he hasn't really developed into that number one go-to at all times option. But then the realist issue is this. I believe in this. Why drive when you can fly?
Yes.
That's how I live my personal life, and that's how the Ravens got to start understanding the game of football.
You fly to work?
Why run the... if I could. Jetson.
You a Jetson, brother?
Why be able to do all this glorious and glamorous running, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to face teams that can really air it out. And can you air it out with the same efficiency, with the same proficiency that they can air it out? Right now, the Ravens can't do so. Again, good is the enemy of great. As long as they play like this, they will be good. And there ain't nothing wrong with being good. Like the Seattle Seahawks, they've been good for years now. But they have only been great way back when. It's time for the Ravens to figure out how to be great.
Yeah, I'm with you. They need a makeover, a deep makeover. I was on one of those shows on HGTV. Yeah, way back like 2000, early 2000s. They did My Sister House. I don't know what it was called, but send me the clips, anybody. It was fun. It was a lot of work. Let me tell you, they got a lot of work right now in Baltimore as well. Let's talk about a makeover because you got to be specific. I was on that show, and I also know people that wear makeup, like myself. You got to be specific. Where are your problem areas? Let's not be general. I'm calling names out.
Okay.
Let's start at the top with you, Greg Roman. You got to go. You got to go. Go. More bounce. Yep, he got to go. I'm going to tell you why. For all 8 seasons that he's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL, his teams have finished top 10 in rushing and bottom 10 in the league in passing. Okay. Is the NFL a running or passing league?
Passing league.
Okay. I'm reloaded. Okay, so that's part 1. Part 2 is, didn't we see this movie again? My son right now he's just in love with Gremlins. Like, I let him see YouTube clips of Gremlins. But I'm looking at it again like, yeah, I'm laughing for you and with you, son, but this ain't funny to me. I saw it 30 years ago. The point is, when you see something over again, it's not funny again. I saw Greg Roman in San Francisco. Hey, man, whatever you think of Colin Kaepernick, Ron Jaworski thought he was the most talented quarterback for this long in the league. I echoed that. I felt the same thing. His arm strength, his arm talent, his mobility, I was like, this is next thing, next coming. And then it got figured out. Now we see Lamar Jackson, who, I remind people, last year, Acho, who threw the most passing touchdowns in the NFL?
Lamar Jackson.
So this whole he can't throw conversation, please, people. Everybody was trying to throw the most passing touchdowns last year, and he did. To the point of this year, he throws 26. Now, you know who's at the 26 threshold? Someone who's being celebrated right now. I'm certain you love him. Baker Mayfield. Hold on. As Aaron Rodgers once said, my bad seasons are career years for these other dudes. Yeah. Lamar Jackson is now being caught up in the moment as being slighted because of his offensive coordinator. My last point is why this is really a conversation. It hit our show is because of the constructive shade given by Willie Snead. I like Willie Snead as a player. I don't love him. I like him as a player. Maybe he has a little remorse in terms of, man, I should have stayed in New Orleans. I should have stayed back there and maybe been more prolific. But Willie Snead, Marquise Brown, all you guys talking about Lamar Jackson, and he's an, what do they say, elite quarterback. I mean, he's almost elite. That conversation, pause. This is a unanimous MVP who's already shown the league he's mobile. He's already shown the league he can throw the football and lead the league in passing touchdowns. The constructive shade needs to be pointed inward to all those receivers that don't add up to a #1 wide receiver. Give Lamar Jackson what he needs. Real weapons and an offensive coordinator that won't get figured out.
Let's let y'all into the locker room real quick because you're on the show with two former athletes, so we're going to give y'all a little jot talk if we may. When you're in the locker room pregame, your defensive coordinator will stand in front of the entirety of the group. You got your defensive linemen, you got your linebackers, you got your defensive backs. We all sitting there, some eating drinking a Gatorade, some eating orange slices, whatever the case may be. And they'll usually say this, fellas, if we want to win this game, we got to force some turnovers, and we can't give up no X plays. X plays will get you beat. You heard that, Marcellus. X plays will get you beat.
All the time.
You know that. Big plays in the NFL will get you beat. Make an offense have to methodically and patiently march down the field because eventually they will make a mistake. Okay, why am I telling you this? Let's talk about the top quarterbacks in X plays through passing. That's plays of 20 yards or more. At the top of the list, Mahomes. He had 12 plays of 20 yards or more through the air. You have Rodgers, 12 plays, 20 yards or more through the air. You have Brady, 12 plays, 20 yards or more through the air. Now, 3 of those quarterbacks are about to play in conference championships. Just slide a little further down. Josh Allen, 9 plays, 20 yards or more through the air. Now, where is Lamar Jackson on that list? He only had 5. That's less than 50% less than Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, guys like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. So the Ravens, because of their style of play, have to work so much harder to get in the end zone. In fact, the Ravens are playing into the hands of defenders like me and Marcellus, who before the game are saying, hey, don't give up any X plays. The Ravens can't get any X plays, and that's why they can get close. But they will not get to that ultimate spot of hoisting the Lombardi because they got to work too hard.
Yeah, they got to work too hard. Man, preach, brother. If you got an Air Force, forget the Army. Let the Army say, hey, we got the Air Force. Let's go get them. And nobody has to get hurt to the same degree. Woo! I am so disappointed in the Ravens play calling. And it's not even just X's and O play calling. It's more by scheme. I swear, the Ravens call plays not to threaten the defense, but to just keep them off balance. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the read option. Okay, they're going to expect read option. You know what we're going to do? Throw a 1-yard pass. Okay, that's going to keep them scared. They're going to respect the passing game. No, they're not. You have Lamar Jackson who led the league in passing touchdowns. Let that man air it out. I need to see more 5-interception games from Lamar Jackson to know that you're confident and maybe cocky. At least committed to him in the passing games. You're not threatening no defense throwing these 1-yard patterns that don't even exist on the passing, running route tree. Let's talk about the fact that they're wasting this window right now.
Say it again.
They are wasting this window right now. Now, Lamar Jackson is here to stay, but that doesn't mean everything around him is here to stay. Ravens, the last 3 years, have the best point differential ever for any team over a 3-season span. Ever. But outscored opponents 516 points over the last 3 regular seasons. That's huge. We are blowing teams out. But you look at them, they're 1-3 in the playoffs over that same time. Number 3 scoring offense the last 3 years average, and number 1 scoring defense. And y'all are 1-3 in the playoffs. Worse than that, you guys in the playoffs have scored 17 points, lost to the Chargers, 12 points, lost to the Titans, 20 points, beat the Titans, and 3 points to the Bills and lose. 1-3, brother. They wasting it. And more importantly, they're wasting the talents, the capabilities, the potential of Lamar Jackson.
I'm going to take it one step further because that's what we're doing. We right here just playing Tetris, stacking these cubes if we may.
Let's go.
At this point, we've seen a big enough sample size. The Ravens have played 4 playoff games with Lamar Jackson as their starting quarterback. Haven't scored more than 20 points in any of those 4. So it's not like Marcellus and I are up here giving you overreaction Monday type of takes. Now, let's take it one step further.
Do hot takes.
All the quarterbacks that started in the divisional rounds, the quarterbacks that had more passing yards won the game. So this isn't like we're up here giving you our opinions. We're giving you facts. Josh Allen passed for more yards than Lamar Jackson. Bills won. Aaron Rodgers passed for more yards than Jared Goff. Packers won. Tom Brady passed for more yards than Drew Brees. Bucks won. Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, in less playing time, passed for more yards than Baker Mayfield. Chiefs won. When you get to the playoffs, all that running the ball stuff, it is cute. And I do think that being able to run the ball and stop the run, it matters. But when you look at this NFL right now, you also, when the going gets tough, you got to be able to air it out. And right now, the Ravens aren't showing the ability to do so.
Look, we ain't that cool now. I ain't going to let you just say something now. We are the world. We ain't going to hold hands. I know it's King Day, but damn, we ain't got to be that cool. Running game is cute. You told me the running game is going to be the reason why the Chiefs going to lose to the Browns. All that.
I love it. It almost was.
Almost as good in horseshoes and something else. I forget. That's right. Hey, dog, let me just say this. The last team to win the Super Bowl without a passing offense that was in the top half of the league was 2013, the Seahawks. Now, think about that team. Damn, defense. And it's running game as well, right? You're not thinking about this Ravens team in that same light. You're wasting Lamar Jackson. Get the passing game going. It's that simple. I'm calling for heads to roll because damn. You making me think of Lamar Jackson and Carson Wentz in the same sense? Lord help me. You're wasting this guy and putting him in harm's way for no apparent reason. He has the potential to do exactly what he needs to do. In a year where he's still in regression, has more passing touchdowns than Phillip Rivers, Jared Goff, and Drew Brees. We know he was injured, but still Drew Brees, same as Baker Mayfield. Stop wasting this dude and stop wasting this passing attack.
Here's where I'm going to go off the deep end, and I'm going to leave Marcellus behind because you and I differ in this approach.
Okay.
I think they're actually wasting his career as far as Lamar Jackson's window. I don't know how long and how broad it will be. I've always said this, and I still believe this. Michael Vick, his 4th year in the NFL, NFC Championship game. That was his peaks. That was the apex of his career. Cam Newton, his 5th year in the NFL, he went all the way to the Super Bowl. He did a little better than Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Both of those quarterbacks have shown themselves to be better running quarterbacks than they were passing quarterbacks in general. Lamar Jackson has, again, shown himself to be a better running quarterback than passing quarterback in general. What we have seen based on this sample size is the window for those quarterbacks has been smaller. Lamar Jackson can be an outlier. He may be an outlier, but Marcellus, you've always said Lamar rarely gets hurt. What did we see this last game, big dog?
Yeah.
He got hurt. And he got hurt. Obviously, it was a bad snap, but only Lamar Jackson's athleticism allows him to be in that position to take a bad snap, try to make something out of it, and just before you know it, now Lamar Jackson's getting a concussion. So I think that it's a little bit more serious than Marcellus, you're even making it out to be, because I don't know how long Lamar Jackson's window for greatness is. If it is indeed shorter, if it is indeed smaller, Ravens need to make changes immediately.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that right now in this moment while this guy is still concussed in his own offseason. It's impossible to argue, and I hope that's not true because as a defender, I'm just putting myself back in that meeting room and I'm watching film of them, and I'm like, this is a creative run attack. And this is the most anemic passing attack I've ever seen. Like, I hate to be that guy, but I'm just giving it to you objectively. I look at their passing attack. It's not threatening. It's delayed. Even during the broadcast, you can hear people saying, oh, now they found Willie Snead 5 yards down the field. Like, it was just absurd to watch the lack of balance.
If you don't, because I'm going to give you all a little nugget here. Again, you just put me back in my linebacker shoes. If you don't have a scheme that can beat you, you have to have players that can beat you. right?
That's it.
If you don't have the scheme that can beat you, you have to have players that can beat you.
Bruh.
And the problem is the Ravens don't have the scheme that can beat them. They don't have the players that can beat them. 2014, Chip Kelly comes to take over the Eagles. We led the NFL in rushing. You better believe we did. LaShawn McCoy, he led the NFL in rushing. As a team, we led the NFL in rushing. But eventually, people looked at our passing attack and said, all they run is crossers and goes. Every play, crossers and goes, or 4 verticals, or all go special. And so eventually, defenders would just sit there dropping the basic zones, and we could do nothing. And we got to the playoffs that first year. We went 10-6 again that second year. But after a while, you get figured out. Coming up, Aaron Rodgers is on his 5th championship game, but we'll tell you if his team had the most impressive win this weekend. That's next. Speak for yourself.
You're watching Speak for Yourself. I'm Marcel Swally. He's Emmanuel Acho. And today we're celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's head back to the NFL. Thank you, Dr. King. All you did for us. And the Packers took care of the Rams Saturday behind 3 touchdown passes from who? Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams was asked after the game, who could stop Green Bay, huh? Who could stop us, huh? And he said, quote, nobody. Well, 3 other teams were not stopped over the weekend as well. The Bucs advanced to face the Packers Sunday on Fox. Bills and Chiefs will square off in the AFC Championship game. So Greg Jennings is back with us, but Acho, who had the most impressive win over the weekend?
A lot of impressive wins this weekend, but the Chiefs, man, you got to give it to them. Chiefs were the most impressive, number 1, because they did it with a backup quarterback. Number 2, they did it with a backup quarterback in the crunch, in pivotal moments. It wasn't like backup quarterback and the Chiefs were up by 35 or so points. They did it with a backup quarterback in the clutch. And then most importantly, the Browns, they have a recipe for winning. The Browns like to be able to run the ball, stop the run, win turnovers, and the Browns did none of those things because of the Chiefs. I look at it, though, 2 specific plays, 2 specific reasons that the Chiefs are the most impressive. First, there's the interception. Chad Henne, you get called into the biggest moment of your career, and you throw a go ball. You watch from the sideline. Well, Patrick Mahomes does this all the time. Surely I can do it. That ain't go so well.
Hey, buddy.
All of a sudden, it's a 5-point game. Browns have the ball. Browns are the best rushing team in the 4th quarter in the NFL outside of the Ravens. They got the ball. Clearly, they're going to go march down there and score. They don't. The Browns punt the ball back to the Chiefs because Chiefs is playing with Chad Henne. What's Chad Henne really going to do? Well, all of a sudden, Andy Reid says, okay, we got 7 plays left, 3.5 minutes left. I'm going to pass the ball 5 of those times. The most important play, and this is the second play, is 4th and 1. 4th and 1 in the NFL, that's a running down. This ain't college, this ain't high school. But they choose to pass it with trips right, sprint right, finds Tyreek Hill, easy first down. For me, those 2 plays embody why the Chiefs win was so impressive. You throw a terrible interception, you have short-term memory, forget about it, come back 4th and 1, game on the line, and with your backup quarterback, you pass the ball. Kudos, Chiefs.
Okay. Didn't believe that at first, but you backed it up and supported it well. But to me, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they faced the most resistance. They faced a team that had their number, except they didn't have number 12 on their team. The Tampa Bay Bucks did, and that's why they were the most impressive. They had the most resistance. They had to go against a team that in the last 2 games before them had only given up 16 points combined. And then you saw the Bucks team go out there and score 30. Now, everyone wants to talk about, well, Tom Brady didn't look great, and they scored 30. Well, 1, Tom Brady didn't turn the ball over, but more importantly, that's an insult, and that is impressive. To score 30 points when you get the aggregate contributions of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Rob Gronkowski combined. 7 catches for 61 yards and 1 touchdown. I will repeat those 4 names: Evans, Godwin, Brown, Gronkowski. One of those guys usually will go for 7 and 61 and 1 touchdown. All 4 combined, and they still put up a 30-burger on the New Orleans Saints that only gave up 16 points combined in this last 2 games. Oh, my goodness. Y'all need to stop. That is the most impressive I saw this weekend.
Is clearly the Green Bay Packers. Like, there is no, it was clearly the Green Bay Packers. And here's why.
Please.
They were even better than advertised. All of us knew going into this game, okay, you got to stop Aaron Rodgers in this offense because they are hot. They have been on a roll. Well, no, they couldn't do that. And not only was it just Aaron Rodgers and it was Matt LaFleur and his beautiful scheme, It was the others. And when the others start to play, kind of like what you're talking about, Acho, with the backup quarterback stepping in and not losing the game, when you got others like Alan Lazard, you see there, you got Marquez Valdez-Scantling stepping up, Robert Tonyan, you got this offensive line who is missing arguably their best offensive lineman, and they didn't skip a beat. I'm talking about to the point where they did not give up a sack, and Aaron Rodgers got hurried one time. He got pressured one time against one of the best defense in all of football, and that's what we saw. This is a scary team, and Davante Adams is exactly right. If they play like this, they cannot be beat. And, oh, yeah, let me mention one of the others as well, Mike Pettin. He had his defense ready to play, and they got after their opponent, and they got the job done. Not just in the rushing game, but even in the passing game. I like this team. This team is scary. And like you guys are talking about, Marcel, as you talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they did do defensively and who they had to play. No, I'm focusing on exactly what we all went into the game expecting, and it was as advertised. Matter of fact, it was even better.
This some old-ass cheese I smell out there in Green Bay. Can y'all give me a wide shot? Let me see.
Oh, the older the cheese, the better.
Yeah, you're right. And look behind you. It's some old-ass jerseys up there that are all the Green Bay Packers jerseys. And that's all that take sounded like, some old-ass frame take. All right, Acho, you can go get him because, I know he had to take care of this.
I respect his points he came with. Sel, I respect your points. I respect this conversation.
What?
But you got to respect this. The Chiefs did not punt the ball all game. That's really all that need to be said, G.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that need to be said, Sel. Chiefs didn't punt the ball all game. For the first time since week 7 of 2018, they've gone the duration of a game without a punt. Marcellus already told y'all, 17 first downs. 17 first downs in the first half. If the Chiefs are firing on all cylinders, even if the Chiefs got a backup quarterback, they're still capable of holding on. What the Chiefs went out there and did is they dominated with their starting quarterback. Now, I'm not going to act like there wasn't a 10-point swing there when Rashad Higgins with the fumble, worst call in football. I'm not going to ignore that. But they did dominate with their starting quarterback, and they held on with their backup quarterback. If you can dominate with your starting QB and you can still hold on in the playoffs against a great Browns team with your backup QB, you going to be all right. That's all I got to say.
I respect that. I can't deny that. I'm not going to even come at you, Acho, because they had a great game. But when you talk about punting the football, the Packers, by the way, they only punted twice against the best defense in all of football. They scored on their first 5 possessions. Let's talk about all of their possessions. They had 9. In their last possession, let's face it, they weren't trying to score. They ended the game the way that they wanted to, by running out the clock, 4-minute offense. But let's talk about the 8 possessions they had prior to that. They scored on 6 of those possessions. So 6 for 8. They could have been 7 for 9, but they chose to run out the clock the way that we see so many great teams do. This team is special. And I know we give a ton of credit to Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams and all of what they do offensively. But Jamal Adams and Aaron Jones and this running game really carry this team. And let me say this, Matt LaFleur, just like we can speak highly of Andy Reid and the vibrato that he brings and the kind of arrogance that he calls the game with, that is what Matt LaFleur just permeates. He has an Aaron Rodgers, an MVP of the league, playing with extreme belief, not in his own ability, but in the guy calling the plays. That is scary.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, sometimes I just want to win and sometimes I want y'all to lose. This is a moment I want y'all to lose. You act like they were playing against the #1 defense in Aaron Donald. That wasn't Aaron Donald out there. That one pressure you're talking about was Aaron Donald on that one play. Excuse me, let me call him Adam Donald because he gave Eve his rib because he wasn't even out there the damn same. But you're going to act like that was a vaunted defense. Boy, stop. Without Aaron Donald, that defense goes different. Trust me. The Chiefs, the Chiefs need to play the Cleveland Browns all the time. 17th ranked defense. And guess what? That same defense, 2 weeks combined, gave up 816 passing yards in must-win games, y'all. Don't act like that. Mason Rudolph didn't go for 315 against that Cleveland Browns defense. And Ben in his comeback efforts didn't go for 501. So the point is, neither one of y'all faced the same resistance as that Saints defense. And that's why I'm going with Tampa Bay in this conversation. Any last words? No, I ain't.
There are some last words. Okay, so we not Acho, check him out. He's not going to talk about the 3 give-me's that Drew Brees gave his team to even allow them back into the game.
Give me or take that. Take that.
No, listen.
Puffy over here, boy. Take that.
The best player on the field didn't even get a chance to finish the game in the return game, and that was Harris. He was the best player on the field.
We doing that now?
So you take him, out of the game, and yes, okay, you want to talk because you want to talk about Aaron Donald and his Adam that he gave, his rib that he gave to eat.
Get him, G.
I'm just saying. You beat this Saints team without one of their best players. I get it. It was a great win. Congratulations. I love what Tampa Bay was able to do, but it wasn't as impressive as Aaron Rodgers.
Love Jones take. You're right. Yeah, all right, Greg. Good job. Golf claps. No, I won that conversation. Coming up, Baker Mayfield's season is over. But we'll tell you if the Browns should be sold on him as their franchise quarterback. That's next. Speak for yourself. Love you guys. King Day. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Chiefs beat the Browns Sunday. Ended Cleveland's most successful season in 26 years. Really? That early? Before the game, a report said the Browns believed Baker Mayfield was their franchise quarterback. He threw a touchdown pass, but he also had an interception and a loss. Take a listen to Baker after the game.
It's just unfortunate for us to come up short, It sucks because we believed in it. That's why we're here. But trying to find the positive out of it. We're setting a new standard here, and to everybody's saying in the locker room, continue to tell guys that we're going to be back. It sucks when you come up short, but you get that taste of it and you realize you learn lessons. But for now, it's definitely going to stink.
Greg is back, but Acho, should the Browns be sold on Baker as their franchise quarterback?
Fellas, they absolutely should be sold. And I can tell y'all, but watch how I'm going to disappear to this big board and just simply show y'all. Let me exit stage.
Did you say showed?
Showed, yeah.
Hey, Freud would say something about that. Freud, Sigmund. You ain't believing what you're saying, Sigmund would say.
I had to get over here because we got to go through a checklist, y'all. Is Baker Mayfield a franchise quarterback? Did he prove that? He absolutely did. And there are 3 very simple reasons, very simple things that he did as to why. First things first, did you just win 11 games, Baker Mayfield? Did you just win 11 games for the first time since 1994? That's the first reason that he proved that he's a franchise quarterback. Second thing, we haven't seen the Browns make the playoffs since Marcellus Wiley was in the league.
Hey!
That's a long time. Since 2002, they made the playoffs. And then the last thing Baker Mayfield did to show everyone that he's a franchise quarterback. Did you win a playoff game, Baker Mayfield? Now, Marcellus, you got to let me know. How many quarterbacks are going to win 11 games for the first time in, 20 or so years? Before he was even born. How many franchise quarterbacks also going to take it to the playoffs, but then win a playoff game? He went down the checklist doing all these things to prove once and for all Baker Mayfield is the franchise quarterback for them Browns.
Wow. Bring your butt back over here. I know this desk is too hot, so you had to take a lap. You had to go over there to the board and just give me some checklists.
So you some Giants now? Take a lap.
Hey, where Greg at? No, hood rich take. He gave me this old welfare goodwill take. Hey, we never had nothing to eat, so as soon as you give us something, guess what? We full. Nah, bro, I got higher standards than that, higher expectations, especially on King Day. I ain't about to take that take. Try to say, because we haven't done anything. This is something. What, win one playoff game and go bye-bye?
Come on,
That's
Sal.
the new
give
standard.
Him credit, Sal.
This is the credit I'm going to give him.
Please.
If he is your franchise quarterback, if you're sold on Baker Mayfield, be prepared for buyer's remorse. And I'm going to tell you why. It's just this simple, man. He has a checkered resume. So going into this season, you don't know what to believe. Looking at this season in terms of outcome, you're like, yeah, you're a franchise quarterback. Outcome, look at it. They won 11 games. But by performance, Baker, man, you can't hide behind those wins, and you can't hide behind this record. Look at this. Tell me if these are franchise quarterback numbers in his Cabo departure game yesterday. 74 quarterback rating and 62% completion percentage. All right, this full screen right here is going to say it all, Acho, because I seen you double down on Twitter something you said here, which is, I quote, Baker Mayfield is a top 10 quarterback
Yes, sir.
with bottom 10 perception.
Absolutely.
He's a top 10 quarterback, right? That's
Yes,
what you
sir.
said? Oh, my God. Woo! Let's go through this list right here. Completion percentage, he's top 10. No, he's not. He's 30th. Yards per game, he's top 10. No, he's not. He's 24th. Passing yards, he's top 10. No, he's not. He's 18th. Yards per attempt, he's top 10. No, he's not. He's 17th.
That's cute. What
Passer
he's doing.
rating, he's 19th. No, he's 15th. Passing touchdowns, he's 19th. No, he's 12th. Oh, here we go. In interceptions, protecting the baby. He's 10th, tied for 10th. So he ain't even 10th by his damn self. Acho, you need to remix your saying. This is who Baker Mayfield is. He's a middle-of-the-pack guy who is still in balance. I'm not a hater. I'm just saying, hey, prove to me you're one or the other. Because right now, by default, I'm going to say you're less than what your new standard says you are.
Greg Jennings, that was cute. What Marcellus just showed us, man, that was cute. See, but what Marcellus has to realize is if you ever detract the whole into parts, you can criticize it because Marcellus, flour by itself, I wouldn't say it's a top 10 item to eat. Salt, that's not top 10.
I don't know about salt. Salt high.
Uncooked eggs, I wouldn't really put that
Rocky,
in the top
Rocky,
10.
all right,
Milk,
Michael.
yeah, I wouldn't say that's a top 10 edible food. But when you mix all them things together, you get a cake. And judging by your appearance before the workouts, to you. Cake. So, with that being said, don't sit here and try to break up Baker Mayfield's whole
What you mean?
into some not top 10.
Oh, don't do that. Why? I love that take, except it didn't apply to this because when you go through contract negotiations, guess what they say? Hey, you come into this room. They don't say, oh, y'all come in here. Hey, when they come into a situation talking about your fifth-year option, they don't say, we're going to pick up the whole team's fifth-year option. They look at you, Baker, and you walk in there with them 20s and teens. Talk about you top 10. Boy, stop. Sorry, Greg.
Look, it's simple. Baker Mayfield is their franchise guy. And Acho, you pointed everything out. And Marcellus, I got to ask you a question.
Please.
What's the most important thing you have to do in this league?
The most important thing?
Correct? Am I right?
Win?
Yes.
Win. Correct?
I can't look. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen winners get disposed of. That's why I say I don't know. It depends on your situation. Some guys just got to put up numbers. Some guys got to win. Be real. Be real.
I'll be real. Well, in this case, and in this instance, when you're talking about a franchise like Acho said, or like you said, somebody who hasn't had food a lot, yes, food is going to taste good. But thank you for the food that you're giving me now. I appreciate it, and I'm going to do exactly what you would do because you've gotten food. Now it's my turn to get food. I'm going to use it well. And that's what Baker Mayfield has done. We do this so often when players reach a goal or they achieve something, we want to move the bar. We want to move the goal line. We do it with Lamar Jackson. We do it with all great players that achieve something, but they don't achieve the pinnacle. And so this is Baker Mayfield. This is a team that we didn't expect to be this good led by this guy. Let's just face it, period. And they are. They won 11 games. Now, we can sit here and say could they won more? Yeah, but that's moving the bar. Now they get into the postseason. Almost everyone, including several thousands of Cleveland Browns fans, possibly didn't feel like the Browns would win. But they didn't go out there and do that. Who delivered? Baker Mayfield. They go to Kansas City against the defending champs, and they have a chance.
Well.
And you have an Andy Reid understanding how this team across from you is playing offensively and the confidence that their quarterback is playing with. And so you decide, I can't give them the ball back because if I give them the ball back, there's no telling what could happen. If they get that touchdown, and if was a fifth, I get it. But if they get that touchdown, that Higgins gets the touchback called on, this is a completely different game. Baker Mayfield has lived up to so much and more, and he has made mistakes in the past. But right now, he is the guy. And he is checking every box to make sure that he solidifies his future with the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, man, so let's forget about the NFL standards. This is judging by Cleveland standards. Man, I grew up with people with that mindset. And, you know,
hey, let me explain something to you really quick.
Go ahead.
Let me explain something to you really quick. He doesn't need to live up to 31 other teams'
Thank you,
standards.
G.
He doesn't need 31 other teams.
What do you need to do?
He doesn't. One. All it takes is one.
Okay, let me tell you.
Want you and appreciate you and value you for what you can offer them.
Yeah, that's for employment. Yeah, but I noticed you, Freud, would laugh at you as well. You said he's their franchise quarterback,
yes, sir.
not a franchise quarterback. You know the difference? I do. It's called an NFL league-wide standard that we all have to live up to sooner or later, or their situation will change, and then you will be finding yourself in a different place. You want to know why I know this for a fact? Because right now we're living through it. Jimmy G and his winning butt. You told me wins are all that matters. Well, then why is Jimmy G now being in conversations with trade talks? And every offseason we hear about that. You want to know why?
Because he can't stay healthy.
Well, that's part of it as well.
Talk about it, G.
But he's also, by the numbers, a better quarterback than this same quarterback you're talking about. And let's talk about those numbers. Can I get my full screen up again?
No,
and then I want to see these faces while my full screen is up. Now, sometimes we can get lost in numbers because they don't have names by them. So a lot of times, especially in today's society and social media, you got to take jabs at cats. You got to give them a name. They be like, oh, you trying to say Lil Wayne can't rap like who? Then you go there. The numbers ain't enough. So let's talk about these numbers. You know who had a higher completion percentage than Baker Mayfield? Cam Newton. Is that good? You want to know who only threw 15 touchdowns, but who threw for more yards than him? Teddy Bridgewater. How'd that go? Lamar Jackson in regression. Same amount of touchdowns. Joe Burrow, talking about the interceptions, only had 5 picks in 10 games. What would that pace look like? Drew Brees.
Acho, were we watching any of those teams in the playoffs?
Wait a minute. Here we go. Drew Brees had a longer yards per attempt, but was getting criticized for his same yards per attempt. Nick Mullins threw for more yards a game than Baker Mayfield. Gardner Minshew, remember Minshew Mania? I forgot about it too. Had the same quarterback rating as him. And he was 13th in fourth quarter comebacks and 17th in game-winning drives. If that's going to be your franchise quarterback, good luck matching up week in, week out against other franchise quarterbacks.
Let me, America, tell y'all what Marcellus just did, which I absolutely abhor. I absolutely hate and despise.
Can I do another dance?
Greg, you know, after the combine, they start drawing all these parallels, right? And they would say something like this if I were to do it for myself. Emmanuel Acho ran a faster 40 than Tom Brady, did more bench reps than Tyreek Hill, had a higher vertical jump than Michael Strahan, had a higher Wonderlic than Ryan Fitzpatrick. They'll just start grabbing all these abstract categories that make him beat better or worse sounding names for the sake of your argument. Marcellus, stop doing that. Let's make it real simple. Let's make it real clear. What Greg Jennings said, I'm a piggyback on that point.
What's that?
The reason Baker Mayfield is the Browns franchise quarterback is because he
ain't got nothing else.
No, he got 3 abilities. 1, accountability. The 3 must-win games, Baker Mayfield gave y'all 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. Must win week 17 against the Steelers, he won. Must win first playoff game against the Steelers, he won. Must win against the Chiefs, he did not win, but he played well enough to win. Okay, he has accountability. Let's talk about availability. Started 16 straight games back-to-back seasons. Browns haven't seen a quarterback do that since 79
once again,
81.
the Browns again.
We don't got to talk about the Browns, but we can talk about
the Browns again. Browns ain't seen it, so it doesn't happen.
Other quarterbacks have missed games over the last 2 seasons. Guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys like Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, not one of those guys. We can talk about the Browns. We can talk about whoever you want to talk about. The last thing we have to talk about is just very simply ability. Baker Mayfield, 30 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions on this season in totality. I'll tell you the other names that had 30 touchdown passes and under 10 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Ryan Tannehill. All of those men are franchise quarterbacks. If you took Baker Mayfield's name off his jersey, gave him a different name but the exact same stats, Marcellus Wiley would be trying to buy front row tickets to watch that franchise.
Not in this COVID, not in this pandemic. I ain't buying jack.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have, veteran guys who've been in the league for so long and they don't like the personality. I don't like his personality.
I actually like Baker's personality.
I don't like his personality.
I like
He's
the flag and all that.
He's not what the quarterback position should be looking like. Look, I don't care what you say it should look like. If it's rendering the thing that I need, give me that. Give me that. I will take that. I will sign up for that. And that's simply what Baker Mayfield has done. Let's just call a spade a spade. He's won.
King Day?
He's achieved what we thought he wouldn't. And what you keep saying, Marcel, is he wouldn't.
What?
You want to talk about all those stats and to Acho's point.
What do you mean all these stats?
Categorize. You listen. When you measure him to Cam Newton, you talk about the passing yards.
He did it.
Yeah, but you left out what the average of those yards were. You left that out specifically. And then when you talk about Gardner Minshew, you talk about Teddy. All these guys are playing from behind. So yes, they're going to throw for a lot more yards. Yes, because their teams are poor. When you have a guy who understands this, my job is to not lose the game, but then if need be, make sure that I am in position to win the game for my team. Like Acho just said, he played 3 or 4 playoff games, and he played well enough to where they won most of them and they lost the very last. So with that, he understands, you know what, I've added value to this team, and it's not just about Baker. It's about the pieces around him, but he is one of the most important pieces in that locker room.
Man, I can't believe I get my blood pressure up. I'm older than all y'all, so I need to keep it down. Here we go. Acho threw in all those wins, those important wins, those great wins, a JV team win. But that's what you got to do when you're scraping and scrapping for something to get it. I need anything. Give me anything. Threw that in there. Ask Andy Reid how much confidence he has in Baker Mayfield as a franchise quarterback in his own territory with a minute or so to go, going for it on 4th and 1. You know why? Because not only does he believe in his own team, he doesn't believe in the quarterback of the other team. If you're a number 1 overall pick, should you ever hear someone like Greg Jennings, a tremendous player in his own right, say, and I quote, his job is to not lose the game. As a number 1 overall pick or even as a franchise quarterback, let's lower the standard. You should never be able to say that about this player. Let's talk about in 47 career starts for Baker and the Browns, they're averaging under 24 points a game. Is that franchise quarterback worthy? How about this? His record, including playoffs, 24-23. Have y'all seen me do this before about Baker Mayfield? Yeah, you know why? Because he's still in balance. Let's talk about Baker's passing yards per game and passing attempts per game declining every single year he's getting in the league. Summation, less of Baker Mayfield is better for the Cleveland Browns. And my last point is this. The Browns fail to 5-15 when Baker throws the ball 35 times or more. Y'all trying to tell me he's a franchise quarterback or their franchise quarterback, but every time they say put the ball in your hands and win us a game, he can't do that at the same clip. He can lose a game. My last point is this.
You said your last point 3 times. You like the pastor in church. Oh, we about to round up now, and you go for another 45 minutes.
Well, no
kidding. Hearing your last point.
Hey, donations. Donations. Don't be hitting me. It's a trash, stupid ass. Okay, here we go. Here's my last point for real. I got to go here. I saw a commercial yesterday. Of course, you know who was in it. This franchise quarterback, Baker Mayfield. But it was so on point when they said, and I quote, home with Baker Mayfield. That's where you guys need to go with these points right now. Home with Baker Mayfield. Go Progressive. Coming up, Drew Brees may have played his final game in yesterday's loss. They nailed it. They knew it was coming. We'll tell you if the future Hall of Famer should retire. That's next. Speak for yourself. That was like my favorite segment ever. In honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, our own Kurt Menefee and Michael Strahan host an hour-long special that illuminates the efforts of athletes creating change in their communities. Voices features appearances by Hall of Famer and current Jackson State head coach Deion Sanders, as well as NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace, who sat down for a conversation with Shannon Sharpe. Fox Sports Voices, today at 5 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Now let's get back to the NFL. Our own Jay Glazer said before the Bucs-Saints game that Drew Brees will retire after his next loss. Well, that was yesterday. Brees threw 3 interceptions in the loss to the Bucs. And after the game, he was asked about retirement, but said he had to, quote, think about a lot of things. However, he did meet up with his family and Tom Brady well after the game on the field. Greg is back, but Acho, should Drew Brees retire?
You know, it's hard to disrespect a Hall of Famer.
It's coming.
Future Hall of Famer like Drew Brees. It is, no, Marcel. Some things bring me joy on this show and some topics don't. This is not a topic that does, but I'm going to say the old saying. Drew Brees, he ain't got to go home. But he got to get the heck out of New Orleans. He got to go. He got to go. Like, here's the thing. The legacy of Drew Brees no longer matches the talent of Drew Brees. Ooh. But the problem is the legacy of Drew Brees is holding the Saints hostage. Ladies, gentlemen, if y'all watched that game yesterday, you knew as well as I do. Drew Brees was not giving the Saints a chance to win. But he's Drew Brees. So you can't bench him. Surely you can't bench him for a guy by the name of Jameis Winston. Can't do that. So now we're playing and respecting Drew Brees based upon the name that he has built for himself and the credit that he deserves. Just make no mistake about it. But he's not still giving you that same caliber of game. So, yes, Drew Brees does, in fact, need to retire for his benefit and the benefit of the Saints. Because the last two things I'm going to give y'all on my first lap is this. Drew Brees, it doesn't behoove you to keep playing. You got knocked out 3-4 years ago. You got the Minnesota Miracle. You got the PI call. You lose to the Vikings in overtime. Then you lose to the Bucs. So you come back. You're coming back to win a Super Bowl. Your odds of winning the Super Bowl are declining with each and every day because you are declining each and every day because of Father Time. No disrespect. But then for the Saints, it doesn't behoove y'all for Drew Brees to come back because look who's playing in the last few games. 2 old quarterbacks, 2 young quarterbacks. Saints, where do you find yourselves? You got Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. You got Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And the Saints are just sitting there like, we don't have one of the good old quarterbacks, aging quarterbacks, and we ain't got a good young quarterback. So what do we have? Nothing at all.
Damn.
I agree, and this is out of all respect to Drew Brees. Yes, I do believe he should retire. Just simply because he's had a fantastic career. He's in Hall of Fame, and that's without question. But what we saw yesterday was what we were seeing the last couple of years, him just declining, not being able to provide his team with what we had become accustomed to seeing Drew Brees. He no longer can win the game for his team. He is being asked, and his job yesterday was to not lose the game. You look at his comments when he talks about those 3 turnovers and what those 3 turnovers did. They gave the Bucs the ball in their territory. All 3 of his interceptions, and you can't do that when you're at that age and you play with that level of smart. The expectation is we're going to be okay because he's not going to turn the ball over. When you talk about age in quarterbacking, the number one thing we expect them to deliver on is protecting the football. And that's what Drew Brees didn't do. I'm not knocking what he's done throughout his course of his career, what he's provided that organization, what he's provided that city of New Orleans. But Drew Brees, when you look at Tom Brady and what he was able to do, he didn't cost his team. Drew Brees did. And over the course of his career, that's not what we had come to know, but it's who we're starting to see that Drew Brees is right now. He can't carry the load. And I'll say this. They're already pretty much moving on. When you think about the contract that they gave Taysom Hill, Sean Payton knows where he wants to go with this team. You get Jameis Winston, it's not just to have him on the roster. It's to give him experience in maturity lessons in relationships with a guy like Drew Brees to watch how he is a pro's pro so that we know we have the talent over here standing on the sideline, but we have the loyalty to you right now because you are the face of our organization.
I'm not the more gifted singer of us, Acho, but how do I say goodbye to what we had? Damn. And I know Drew Brees probably better than everybody because I played with Drew Brees. Day 1, Drew Brees. Yeah, day 1 in San Diego. Went to his wedding. That's my dog. We had our ups. We had our downs. I love Drew Brees. But what he's putting on resume right now, what he's putting on paper right now, are not moments that are Drew Brees worthy. I want to really focus in on the last 2 years, the last 2 postseasons. And let's talk about what's happened to Drew Brees on and off the field. First, let's talk about the fight. I mean, the warfare he had to nearly go through just to get a 2-year deal. Drew Brees has to go tug of war with ownership to get a 2-year deal, the Kobe contract, as they call it. Yeah, he did. Then let's talk about some of the missteps, and you can go wherever you want to in terms of off the field, some of the things that have occurred for Drew Brees. I don't really want to pass judgment on those, but not necessarily what you want on your resume when you have all of the goodwill Drew Brees has all over this country, let alone in New Orleans, but it's on his resume. Let's talk about on the field, his postseason. His highlights, or let's be specific, his lowlights, because offensively, the last 2 postseasons, 2 things come to mind. One, Taysom Hill looked better and looked like a better spark last year against the Vikings than Drew Brees did. And then this year, the gadget play was the highlight for them offensively as well. You don't want to be outshined by Taysom Hill and now Jameis Winston in your last 2 performances. We already know that he gave up the ball 3 times yesterday, the 3 turnovers that contributed heavily to the Bucs and their victory. But here's some numbers that are good for Drew Brees, because I love you, Drew Brees, my former teammate. Most passing yards in NFL history, highest completion percentage in NFL history, 7-time NFL passing yards champion. Hip, hip, hooray! But like every game starts, you got to do the coin flip. Let's flip that coin, y'all. Only quarterback with 12-plus Pro Bowls that did not win multiple Super Bowl titles in NFL history. 9-9 career record in the playoffs. And that second 9, you have to add because that's what's happening of late. And he's never won an MVP. So Acho was saying how the New Orleans Saints in their window, is it closing? Is it closed? Well, they went through a stretch in these last 4 years. They won 49 regular season games. And that's the most wins by any team in 4 years that failed to reach a Super Bowl. It's over for the Saints right now unless they transition at the position that matters most. And that's the quarterback position. And that's Drew Brees. Unfortunately, I got to do my job and say my man got to retire.
Let me say it like this, because if you watch enough movies, you'll hear a quote that transcends the movie and is applicable to life. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. Drew Brees, at this junction in time, he is going to become a villain to Saints and Saints fans, because they'll look up last year against the Vikings in the playoffs and say, wait a second, Drew Brees, you were the 3rd best quarterback on the field. They'll look up this year in the playoffs and say, wait a second, Drew Brees, you were the 3rd best quarterback on the field. The Saints defenders will look up and say, wait a second, Drew Brees, the Buccaneers had less yards per play. They had a worse 3rd down conversion percentage. Wait a second, Drew Brees. The touchdowns we gave up, all of them came off of turnovers. So we played our butt off. We did our part. And the reason we lost the game was because of you, Drew. Remember, you either die a hero, you live long enough to become a villain. Drew Brees, go out as a hero, my friend. Coming up, Josh Allen is on his way to the AFC Championship game. We'll tell you what his Bills proved in their win over them Ravens. That's next. Speak for thyself.
You're lucky I'm sad.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Now, Marcellus's Bills did not score a lot of points, but it was enough to beat the Ravens Saturday. Josh Allen threw a touchdown pass, and Teron Johnson intercepted Lamar Jackson for a 101-yard pick six. That boy fast. The Bills will face the Chiefs in their first trip to the AFC Championship game in 27 years. My goodness. So, Marcellus, what did your Bills prove in that big-time win?
Oh, they proved a few things, big dog. First of all, we proved we have a real quarterback. Not a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, not an elite quarterback, not a franchise quarterback, but a real quarterback. Because just look around at the quarterbacks that are remaining. Tom Brady, is he real? Aaron Rodgers, real?
Right.
Patrick Mahomes, real. Well, then, here's Josh Allen. He's real as well. They proved that Western New York grit. You don't know anything about that because you haven't been up there in Western New York like I have. That's why I got this intestinal fortitude myself. It was harnessed. It was home.
Something wrong with your intestines.
I do. Bubble guts. They got outperformed and won. I'm going to say it again. Losing performance and a winning outcome.
Okay.
What does that prove? That you can find a way. Not taking a shot at Baker Mayfield, but I don't care what you go through in terms of performance, in terms of stats. Find a way. How many times have we heard that? How many times you been out there on the football field trying to find a way? Like a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sack performance. We've seen it before. Not good enough. Find a way to win the ball game. Quarterbacks throw for 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. Lose. Find a way to translate all of what you do into ultimate success. That's what these Buffalo Bills proved to me in that win over the Ravens. They're a real team with a real quarterback.
Yeah, that was a huge win. I'm not going to detract anything from what you said. I'm just going to add on to it. The Bills proved to me that they can win flashy or they can win dirty. And that means everything in the NFL. Remember, we saw the Bills the last 3 games of the season. 56 points, 38 points, 48 points. Earlier on in the season, 44 points against the Seahawks. I knew the Bills could win a high-scoring affair. Right. Flash and dash. I already knew the Bills could handle business. But what would happen if the game was grimy? What would happen if it was a low-scoring, just ugly game? I personally thought that would favor the Ravens. Ravens, one of the best rushing attacks over a 3-year period in NFL history. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, low-scoring, it's rough on y'all Bills. They said, no, sir.
Nah.
The other thing that the Bills and Josh Allen proved to me, you can trust him. I told you so. You know I got trust issues, big dog.
You can't trust him. That's why you're single, huh?
That is.
Super single. Really?
I got trust
Can we
issues.
talk?
I mean, we only have a couple minutes.
Oh, okay.
After
Yeah, you've been single for a long time. 2 minutes ain't gonna help you.
I got trust issues, y'all. But Josh Allen in that game, and it wasn't about, hey, how many points can you score? It was only about who's not gonna turn the ball over. Lamar Jackson, that pick 6 he threw, that's a 14-point swing in a game that was decided by what? 14 points? That was it. The game wasn't about, oh, Lamar Jackson had 300 yards. Oh, Josh Allen had 300 yards. No, the game was about who's going to make the pivotal error, not the pivotal big play. Lamar made the pivotal error. Josh Allen did not. Bills won.
Yeah. I mean, I want to just really focus in on what you're saying. Basically, they find a way to win even when they're getting outplayed. That game, they were getting outplayed. If you look at all the major statistical categories, Ravens win, Ravens win, Ravens win. You look at the scoreboard, Bills win. That's something right there. And the Ravens is interesting this year. Ravens outgained the Bills by 120 yards, but the Bills are 6-2 this season when getting outgained in yards. Huh? Okay, fine. You don't believe in yards. Bills had only 220 yards of offense, but they're 5-1 this year when they have under 350 yards of offense. Wow. Scored only 17 points, but they have a winning record when they score under 25 points. What the hell is going on here? Josh Allen had 209 total yards, but the Bills are 4-1 this season when he has under 225 total yards. Basically, when you play the Bills, baby, it doesn't matter how you're beating them down. You better check that scoreboard. Coming up, the Seahawks lost to the Rams, but Jamal Adams is talking smack about LA's loss this weekend. We'll tell you if we love or hate the trolling. Next, Speak for Yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Ravens were knocked out of the playoffs by the Bills Saturday, while over in the NFC, the Rams were eliminated by the Packers. A couple of players were very happy about those results. Rams beat the Seahawks in the wild card round, but Jamal Adams tweeted, "See y'all in Cabo, Rams, and make sure y'all bring your own damn cigars too." Ooh. The Ravens beat the Titans in the wild card round, but linebacker Will Compton, Compton posted an image of Ravens players with the Michael Jordan crying meme. So Acho, you love or hate players trolling teams that beat them?
I love how petty it is, but I really hate it, though.
Okay.
Big dog. If you get beat up in a fight, right? Take you back to college. I know you ain't losing no fight since then. High school?
Yeah, 8th grade.
Okay, 8th grade.
Brian Bimbo in front of Davita Adams broke my nose.
Bet. So when Brian broke your nose, if Brian goes out there and gets jumped next class period, you're not finna start clowning Brian. He just whooped you. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. It's like, wait a second. So Seahawks, y'all lost to the Rams, but then y'all gonna go clown the same team that y'all lost to, that sent y'all home, which is the reason you can watch the game in the first place instead of playing a game of your own. Titans, y'all lost to the Ravens, but then y'all gonna go clown the Ravens who just beat you. And they the only reason y'all can watch the game. Marcellus, I'm a young cat. I'm new school. I'm a millennial. I'm all that. I love social media. I built my brand off social. I love it.
Oh, you just told her I built my brand. You ain't old saying that.
I don't get this. This, you got to educate me on, baby.
Oh, why? This is not for me. Love or hate this, or not love, not hate, or I don't know where to take this. I'm all over the place. Like 90% of me loves this, 10% of me hates it. And the 10% is so strong, it's making me just hate this. It's weird. It's a mesh. It's a blend between our two worlds, and we don't know where to exist. Let's be real about this. We shouldn't make this a habit. Even if this is cute, even if this is something you're like, okay, I could tolerate it, let's not make it a habit. We're talking to John Heller, our tremendous producer, and he said it's like cilantro. And it was interesting because cilantro to me I'm ambivalent about it. Like, all right, cilantro, put it on there, I ain't tripping. But I heard a lot of people hate it. So either they're like, whatever to it, or they're like, I can't stand it. I'm stuck right here trying to get to that fence of saying I can't stand it, but right now I'm on the other side.
It's almost though like, the cost of losing is silence.
That is so true, and I hate that that's so true.
You're like, the cost of losing is
you know
silence.
what? No, I love it now. Silence. You have lost every block so far. Shut it.
But you feel like when you lose, the price you must pay is shutting up.
Yeah.
when you lose, you also lose your clowning rights.
You lose everything.
You lose them.
Yeah. Take them Jordans
You are
off.
disenfranchised. So on this MLK Day, I apologize. But you have lost your clowning rights for at least a week.
Yeah.
So I don't get how you can lose and then still try. No. You lost. Silence.
Yeah, but what if you're right? Like,
Okay.
And you're only using the weapon that they used against you. What is it, Aikido? Like, use their strength against them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they threw a boomerang, you say, oh, it's coming back. Like, you just helped propel the boomerang that was already coming back to them. Like, if we get into the world where everyone is silenced as soon as they get defeated, just think about the NFL playoffs. If you look at it now, there are 14 teams that made it, right? So then that's 18 teams. Shut it. We don't want to hear it. And all those players, all those GMs, come on, man. There's some key information, some nuggets of wisdom that comes from even those in that situation. Let me be the old head here.
Please.
You know who Tone Loc is?
No, sir.
Damn, you young as hell. You don't know who Tone Loc is. Well, this won't land well here. Hopefully it does at home. There was a moment when Tone Loc came out.
Who was Tone Loc?
He was a rap. God, Lee, you don't even know who he is. You don't have to know his work. You never heard of Tone Loc.
I've never heard of Tone Loc.
Yeah. I'm scared to do this joke.
I've heard of Tupac.
You heard of Tupac?
Yes.
A little difference. Anyway, I ain't going to waste my joke on this. I'm going to wait till somebody comes on here that's old as hell that knows what I'm saying. Point is,
LeVar.
if y'all LeVar, you can tell LeVar with that predator hairline. All right. We're going to move on from this, but if y'all lose, be careful how y'all come out with your chest on social media. Coming up, our resident Chiefs fan, Uncle Jimmy, has a message for all the non-believers out there. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Like Tone Loc.
Oh, he knows Tone Loc.
Like Tone Loc.
He raised Tone Loc. Before we go, Uncle Jimmy joins us. His Chiefs are headed to their third straight AFC Championship game. And Uncle Jimmy, I hear you have a message for any non-believers out there. Let's go.
See, this right here is what the Bible meant when it said, "O ye dumb ones of such little faith."
You didn't say that.
I think you added.
Yeah, what version is that?
See, that's from the book of James. The hell you mean what version it is?
Book of Jimmy.
See, y'all thought that the Chiefs was a one-man band. See, y'all thought that if y'all took down our leader, our captain, our Thanos, that we was just gonna fold like we was a cheap piece of lawn furniture at a Whitlock family reunion, huh? But it didn't happen. See, because y'all don't know nothing about faith. See, if you have faith, then you know that anything is possible.
Anything.
See, y'all didn't know that our backup quarterback was gonna come onto the field and make everybody say, nah. See, my guy Chad Hennessy took 2 shots, ran onto the field like a G, and got her done. See, the Chiefs right now are in the prime of their life. They kind of like Mike Tyson before he started eating ears. We knocking everybody out and taking names. See, Bills, we coming for you, right? I'm telling you right now, don't forget it. The Kansas City Chiefs is ruthless. Most vicious champions ever. Josh Allen, he's no conqueror. Mahomes is the conqueror. We're the best ever. We are not the AFC champion.
Fox Man Live next.